Oh, Slippy Slap. Gotta do Jack. Back to the past. Jack. Samurai Jack.
Samurai Jack Skeleton.
That's coming back, right?
Oh yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah, they're gonna finish Samurai Jack. Interesting. I hope it's good.
I hope it's like a deliberate final season type thing.
Yeah.
Like it has an ending, not just
Certainly.
more episodes.
I feel like,
Samurai
a
Jack.
lot of cartoons have been ending lately, so
Yeah.
like I have good feelings about it. Even though like going back and watching Samurai Jack, it's not very good.
No.
Like it kind of sucks.
The funny thing about Samurai Jack is that I was always very excited about the concept of it and never really liked the show. And
I feel like there were certain episodes that were just really cool, like the one with the bounty hunters and stuff.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yes.
That is the one. Like,
I mean, the first episodes are cool.
All right, there's a few. There's the one with the eight robot bounty hunters, which is a very clearly inspired by Ninja Scroll.
Yeah.
Like a lot of their powers are literally taken from Ninja Scroll. And that one's pretty cool. There's the one where he fights the two blind archers in the snow. Basically all the action-centric ones.
Yeah,
The ones where it's
and like the more artsy
about Jack
ones.
kicking ass. Yeah, the artsy ones, the action ones. But then a lot of them are just like corny as fuck.
Yeah.
And they're not really all that cool.
Like when he goes to meet like the Smurf people. And
Yeah,
it's like, this
that's
is
what I was
fucking
thinking
lame.
of.
Like that's always the one I end up seeing, and I'm like, this
Right.
episode is so bad.
There's a lot of like corny, dumb, weird episodes. And I don't think anyone I think everyone remembers Samurai Jack mostly for the movie, like the first 3 episodes, which
I've
presented
seen
as like a film.
the most times.
Right, and I think when people talk about how they think Samurai Jack was awesome back in the day, they're mostly thinking about that. And I don't think most people remember all the other. Oh, also the ones with the Scottish dude are great too.
Yeah, Jack and the Scotsman.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of cool stuff in the show and like memorable shit, but a lot of it was pretty dumb.
I think I tried to watch it on Netflix when they put it on there, and I was just like,
Yeah.
not good. It's really boring most of the time.
But it would be cool to.
It's got a very
like,
awkward pace.
Yeah, it's weirdly paced. I mean, it was trying to feel like the pacing of I think like samurai movies, which I get, but like. I don't know. I think it could be cool to bring it back though, because I mean it could be better. And they could have, they could probably go for more mature, consistent themes,
They'll probably be on, like, Adult Swim.
Like, to me, if there's an incentive to bring Samurai Jack back now, it's that we're in a period of time where you can make a show like that now, as opposed to before, where, like, I think a lot of Samurai Jack was compromised to make a show that still felt like a kid's show that still could be on Cartoon Network, where, like... Because at the time, there wasn't anything else quite like that, Like, we had that and, like, the Clone Wars, which were both by Genndy Tartakovsky, and those were, like, the most artistic, regular-ass Cartoon Network shows. This is a time when the popular shows were, like, Kids Next Door.
Yeah.
Was, that's what it was. Which, I mean, Kids Next Door did help advance the medium because it had an ongoing narrative, one that was full of plot holes and made no fucking sense, but it had an ongoing narrative, which sort of, helped to popularize that in Cartoon Network shows. But now we've got stuff like, like Gravity Falls coming out, where they made they it ended, right?
It's not over. The last episode's coming out soon.
But that it is ending.
It's gonna have an
it's
ending.
Only
I watched, like,
I
am caught up. Actually, I haven't seen the latest, like, second to last episode, but I watched one before that, and it's like, it's, the plot develops in its ending. Like, it clearly had a goal from the beginning,
a show like Steven Universe, like, I can see it eventually having an ending, and I love the way the plot progresses. I think it's done really well. But, like, I think that'll probably go on for a number of seasons, and they clearly leave a lot of the plot in the dark so it can keep going, where it's like, it's mostly sort of episodic adventures that every once in a while at the very end of the episode advance the plot in a small way, whereas Gravity Falls is just like, it's just a story that we're telling. And then you have Over the Garden Wall, which was a huge deal, which was just an 11-episode miniseries. That was a miniseries.
I mean, but it felt like an anime.
That is not what an OVA is.
I know. I'm just comparing it to an anime.
Anime has a miniseries too.
Whatever.
In fact, most anime are miniseries in a way.
I guess.
So yeah.
Right, it was very concise.
It was very concise, and it had like, more mature themes and ideas behind it. And I think in a world where Over the Garden Wall can be a success, then Samurai Jack could come back.
Perhaps.
And maybe not have to make as many concessions, and maybe have an ending, where... Because it obviously was supposed to eventually have an ending, and there's even one episode where he, like, does fight Aku, but then, like, can't win for whatever reason, I don't remember. Or like, winning would have been a bad thing at the time, so he left. But, like... Yeah, the way the show ended was just, like, on a kind of artsy episode, and then it was just... Because I remember they had, like, the last 4 episodes of Samurai Jack, and I was like, oh, are they going to end it? But it was really more like, Samurai Jack's been canceled. Here's the last 4 episodes we have, Yeah, I don't know. Could be interesting. Who knows? I am not going to make any judgments until I've seen it.
Fun.
Or at least until I've seen a trailer,
Ooh.
If it's like the fucking new Berserk anime and it's fucking
all
CG,
yeah.
then I'll just be pissed off.
That'd be fucking hilarious.
Like, and great. Is Gendy Tartakovsky making it again? Like, is it still him?
I don't really know anything about it. I just heard it was happening.
Because all I know that he's done, I think he did the Hotel Transylvania films, and that's like the last thing he did.
Heard those are all right.
Or at least he did the first one. I don't know if he did both, but... Because it was, with Tartakovsky, it was like he had left Cartoon Network, and I think he made his own studio, or like he was heading his own studio, but then it didn't, I don't think their projects ended up panning out, and then he made Hotel Transylvania, and I don't know, I haven't heard from him since.
I don't know.
Seems to happen to a lot of the great creators who come out of Cartoon Network. They just don't get shit, like Lauren Faust, after working on My Little Pony for the Hub, she
what has she done since then?
She got scooped. Well, she worked on the show Wander Over Yonder with her husband, because her husband Craig McCracken's the guy who made Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and worked a lot on the Powerpuff Girls. So they both worked on Powerpuff Girls, and she worked on Foster's, and then she made My Little Pony, and then her and her husband made Wander Over Yonder, which I think is on the Disney Channel, something like that. Maybe Nickelodeon, I don't remember. But she had gotten scooped up by Disney, and she was supposed to be, like, I don't know, directing or creating a film called Medusa. But then she ended up, like, she's not on the project anymore. Like, I guess creative differences happened. But, like, it's another one of those things where she was clearly talking about it like it was her baby, and, like, she was totally the one in charge, and then she's like, oh, yep, I'm not on it anymore. And it's like, well,
Nice.
Like... She needs to... I feel like she needs to get herself, like, working for more... Like, for companies that will let her do what she wants. More auteur shit, Yeah. Like, the most I ever learned, I think, about the animation industry was from watching the Rick and Morty after shows, where it was the two creators, Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, and, like, during the premiere and during the finale... They, like, threw a big party for the episode, and then they had, like, live streams afterwards.
I know they did a finale one.
Yeah, they did another one. There wasn't as much to it for the finale, but the premiere had, like, this big thing where they were both super wasted and being, like, way overly candid and saying all this shit they're not supposed to say. And they were bringing up, like, a bunch of people who work on the show. And, like, basically, because Rick and Morty, like, in a way... The biggest problem with Rick and Morty is that it's successful because as a result, they're losing everyone who worked on it.
Wow. Because
the people who were like in the... Because the thing is, Rick and Morty didn't get renewed for season 3 until season 2 started, right? Like season 2 had like 1 or 2 episodes out, and then they said they were making a season 3.
I see.
Well, in the time that they weren't producing a 3rd season, all those people needed work.
Yeah.
And because Rick and Morty was a big critical success, a lot of those people got scooped up by Disney and other places. And a lot of those people have families, so they were like... yeah, obviously I'm going to take where the work is, and especially if I can get a cushy job somewhere like Disney. So, like, some of their big people that they really, felt were, like, some of the best people on the show have been scooped up by other people. And Dan Harmon was saying, like, if season 3 of Rick and Morty sucks, it's because we lost these guys. You know? If it falls apart...
That would suck.
Yeah. And the reason that it took season 2 so long to come out is because Justin Roiland does so much of the show that they literally just don't have enough of him. And the thing is that because the guy who they lost, they said was like he was the only person who was like anywhere near Justin Roiland's level of being able to hold the show together. Like, he was their only backup guy. and they don't have that guy, you know? So, like, because Roiland is so deeply involved in every aspect of the show, then it takes a long time to produce, and if they lose all their good people, then who knows if it'll still be good when season 3 rolls around, you know?
Yeah.
But the thing about Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland is they're completely uncompromising. They would not go to Disney if they got offered a job at Disney, because the whole reason they work for this show is that they can do whatever the fuck they want, you know, on Rick and Morty. Like, there's very little that they have not been able to get away with on there. So, you know, and Roiland's a fucking crazy person, so he's not gonna work for anyone who won't give him at least some leeway. And Dan Harmon has been working in TV forever, so he's like a, you know, knows the walk, knows the road kind of guy. You know, he's been canceled before for making a show that was popular but too weird. Fucking Community.
Got the can.
Which somehow kept crawling back out of the abyss to be made, but is over now, probably for good.
Yeah. Don't have a problem with that being over. I feel like it had its run, and...
Did you ever watch season...
I never watched the last season, though.
Yeah, I haven't either, and I've heard it's a lot, like, because Dan Harmon came back for 5, and he wasn't there for 4, and 4 kind of blew. But, he's apparently back for 5.
Hey!
So I need to watch it.
He returns.
Dude, it's so funny whenever anyone asks me what are my favorite live action shows, and then I just sit there for a minute and I go, oh my god.
You've seen live action shows.
I have only seen one, and it's Community. That's the
Yeah.
only live action show I've actually, like, watched all of.
Probably.
Because, like, you know, I really like The Wire in terms of, like, it being a great show and me being, like, into it, but
you've not seen...
But I've never seen the whole thing.
Like, much of it at all.
I only made it... Well, I've seen... What do you mean not much of it all? I've seen half the fucking show.
Yeah.
I made it, like, halfway through season 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
I just never got around to finishing it. And then, mostly because season 3 was fucking soul-crushing, so it was kind of hard to watch.
Yeah.
And then I watched all of Game of Thrones, and I got into that for a little while, but then, like, I didn't end up watching season 5, just because I was kind of, like, tired of it and pissed off.
Yeah.
So...
Tired and pissed off.
So, like, Community is the only one that I, like, watched all the way through, and,
You gotta watch Parks and Rec, man. Best TV show.
Parks and Rec's not bad.
Yeah.
I like it. I've seen a bunch
Master
of it.
of None now is alright. With Aziz Ansari. That was a fun show.
That show didn't seem... I don't know why. Aziz Ansari is not very funny to me.
Like, it's a fun show to watch, but then it's like the acting is really bad. So, like, you kind of... It's kind of hit and miss, and it's just kind of a fun thing to sit down and watch real quick.
Yeah, I don't
Nobody's
know.
favorite.
It is not very easy for me to get into live action shows. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about them. There just aren't. I guess it's just like the culture of them. Like, because when you get right down to it,
with American live action shows, you don't get a lot of like grand scale shit out of it because they're limited so much in their budget and what they can do, and like they have to really be these down to earth stories. And that kind of like detracts from.
That's a lot of why some people watch anime. Like Bakaraptor was always saying that like
you can't get that out of normal TV.
Yeah,
you know?
Bakaraptor was always saying that what got him into anime was like long form shonen shows because they have such huge stories that like you know it'll be hundreds of episodes and you usually have like all these different subplots that are happening and like all the stuff that ties into the main storyline, and you just don't get that with most live action shows. But for me, it's more of that. What bothers me is that every live action show is either just a drama or a comedy.
Yeah.
Like, you never get stuff that's not strictly one of those things. It's always either, you know, it's always either a really dark drama, like HBO, if it's a drama, it's going to be dark as fuck. It's going to be depressing. Everyone's going to die. There's always got to be a lot of death, a lot of violence, you know. Or it's a, like, procedural drama, where it's, like, you know, just by the numbers, kind of boring, you know, there's a case we need to solve, that kind of thing, you know. And then with comedies, it's either, you know, your generic sitcoms, or your, like, your more adventurous comedies, which are some of the shows I like the most, you know, be that something like Community, or Curb Your Enthusiasm, like, or Parks and Rec, those tend to be pretty good. But, like, every show tries to either be something that makes you laugh or something that makes you cry. You know.
Yeah. Oh, there's some that are laugh and cry.
Yeah, but it's all like very reactive, which I guess makes sense because that seems to be what audiences look for in shows. People like stuff that either makes them laugh or cry. People like the reaction that they get from watching something, you know, which is why people hate spoilers so much, because they want that reaction. They want the laugh. They want the cry. I don't really like those aspects that much. I'm more interested in like what I think about or like what I take away from it. I like stuff with strong themes. I like stuff with involving worlds and stuff like that, you know, which to some extent that's what's cool about Game of Thrones, is that it does have a pretty like well thought out world and stuff that comes from the book, but it's not really about exploring that nearly as much as it is about exploring the people die aspect, you know, which is why a lot of people like the books more than the show, because they usually say that what they like about the books is the detail, like all the world building details that are thrown in, you know, like getting to learn about like why this fucking sword is relevant to 3 centuries of people or whatever, you know. But like, yeah, to me, like most of my favorite anime are ones that kind of can explore a broader thing that's not really about making you laugh or cry so much as it is like presenting an interesting idea, you know, like Ghost in the Shell, where it's like this, it's more about getting involved in this deep and complex world and thinking about the nature of society. There's not a single moment in Ghost in the Shell where A, you're gonna really laugh out loud, it's not funny, B, where you're going to cry because it's not very dramatic, and you're never gonna fear for the lives of the characters because they're overpowered cyborgs, you know, like there's action scenes, and they're very good action scenes, but they're largely functional. They're just there to like kind of look cool and help the pacing of the episode, and like a lot of the times they're about the sci-fi concept. Like this is you're fighting in episode 2. They fight a giant tank that's like this crazy tank, and it's not so much about what's at stake. It's about showing off this cool tank. You know. So yeah, I think that's sort of why there hasn't been a lot of live action shit I can get into, and I haven't really checked out stuff from other countries much. J-dramas tend to be corny as shit.
Yes, like GTO.
They tend to just have really cheesy acting and be like overly like sympathetic and hammy. Like they're very like they're even more trying to make you cry than American shows, but not by being like violent or shocking, but more by being like overly sentimental and like to an extent that I would consider cringy.
GTO is wonderful. I watched
J-dramas are really cringy.
both fucking long ass seasons of that show and the like 2 or 3 movies, and I love them.
I did watch like 20 something episodes of Samurai Sentai Shinkenger, which was pretty fucking fun. I just didn't get around to finishing it because I think I had like I think it was like they were working on subbing like one of the movies that was supposed to come out, like that took place between episodes 22 and 23. Yeah. And like I had gotten to that point and I was like, maybe I'll just wait for them to finish subbing the movie and I'll watch that. And then I just never watched any more of it. So yeah. But it was corny as fuck, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm willing to take recommendations for live action shows, but most of them do not interest me. Like when people tell me to watch shows, the only one that I like really am intent on watching is Star Trek Next Generation, because that one actually does have where it's not really trying to be drama or comedy. Yeah. And I should probably look into more like drama. British shows and stuff like Red Dwarf, or even Doctor Who is a pretty cool Doctor Who unfortunately has
Sherlock
a problem.
Is kind of more about like
I liked the first
fun
episode
mystery
of
and
Sherlock
concepts more than the character drama.
So I think it's possible I could get into like BBC shows. I do want to finish Sherlock. I only watched the first episode.
You should.
And I liked it a lot. The only problem with Doctor Who is that it's the most inconsistently written show in the universe. Like Doctor Who has episodes that are really amazing and then a lot of episodes that are just total garbage, and the continuity is so fucked that you cannot possibly take like any of it seriously. You know, like the continuity is disgusting in Doctor Who. But I'd like to get into some of those shows. I want to check out Red Dwarf because I know Yahtzee loves it so much and he always talks about it. But the highest priority live action show for me is Star Trek Next Generation, because I made a deal with my friend Neil X, who is a big fan of it, that we made this deal about 6 or 7 months ago, that I would watch all of Next Generation.
Shove my fist in a pig's ass. Boom!
He made me a list, like a priority list for the show. Like, these are the episodes you have to watch. And he said, I have to watch all of Next Generation. In exchange, he'll watch a bunch of anime shows that I think he should see.
Yeah.
So I gave him like a whole list of anime, and he's already watched all of Revolutionary Girl Utena and all of Eureka 7. And I have watched 4 episodes of Next Generation, maybe 5.
What an asshole.
It's really hard to find time for it, man, because the episodes are like 45 minutes long, and the thing is, the first 2 seasons are a slog. And I don't have to watch all of it. He gave me, like, just certain episodes he recommends. But, like, the first 2 seasons were before they changed writers. And, like, they're kind of, like, widely considered to be...
Okay, so should I summon this dude and beat this boss's fucking ass? Or, like, go and try to do it myself?
I don't know. How hard do you think it would be to do by
yourself? I haven't tried it by myself in a long time.
Yeah, give it a shot and then come back.
Yeah.
And we'll do that next time on Digi Bros, but I'm going to finish the sentence. The first 2 seasons of Next Gen are kind of a slog, and apparently it changes dramatically after that, but there's certain episodes you kind of have to see to get, like, the ongoing narrative points. So, anyways. Next time on Digi Bros, Victor's going to try this boss.
Fire the boss.